Okay, before we start, let's check to see if the speakers are here. Yes, they are, great. And we are also having our attendees joining at the moment. I'm here too, and I believe we are ready to start. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining our exclusive webinar on how to unlock predictive AI with Kumo in Snowflake. I'm Katie Jovanovska, and I will be your host today. Yesterday, I learned one interesting fact about webinars, and I would like to share that fact with you that over 1.3 million webinars are held globally each year. And today, at this moment, you're here with us. Your presence means a lot to us at Kumo AI. Also, it is important to mention that today's presentation will be recorded and shared with you. And in the next 30 minutes, together, we will explore how Kumo integrates with Snowflake to provide data scientists with unique access to scalable and flexible predictive AI capabilities. I would also like to introduce our speakers who will be discussing how to unlock predictive AI with Kumo and Snowflake. We are very excited to be joined today by AI and ML experts from Kumo AI and Snowflake. Today we have Disha Dubey and Alan Krumholtz, senior engineers at Kumo AI, and our special guest, Cameron Vasilevsky, who is senior engineer at Snowflake. Welcome, Disha, Cameron, and Alan, and I believe we are all excited to learn from you today. Before we dive in, let me briefly present today's agenda. We will cover what Kumo is and why it's essential for data science team. Following that, we will discuss the Snowflake native app and how it functions. And finally, we will present a live demo to showcase how it all works. Please note that you can ask questions through the Q&A feature, and we will dedicate 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the webinar to address the most common questions received from you. Thank you once again for joining us. I believe we are all ready, and let's get started. Disha, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Hello, everyone. I'm Disha Dubey, Senior Engineer at Kumo AI. Super excited to welcome you all to this webinar. Today, we will talk about how you can do predictive AI on relational data. Yes, you heard that right. Predictive AI directly on relational data. In other words, query the future of your enterprise. And Kumo AI makes it possible through its easy-to-use predictive query language. Next slide, please. Founded in 2022 by the pioneers in graph neural network and AI executives at organizations like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Airbnb, Kumo leverages machine learning techniques to make achieving value through your AI dramatically faster and easier. We recognize that a significant portion of your valuable enterprise data is relational, and machine learning on relational data is hard. It requires weeks, if not months, to create that model-ready dataset that you would use to address a single business problem. Even if this process was not complex enough, the process of maintaining the feature engineering pipeline once you productionize this model becomes a nightmare for most teams. Imagine doing this for all the models that your business stakeholders are asking for. Our founders recognize this issue that most data science teams face while leading these efforts at their respective organizations, and this led to the innovation that they call Kumo AI. Inspired by the revolution that CNNs brought to computer vision, transformers brought to NLP, our team at Kumo brought the concept of transformers to relational data. As I mentioned before, Kumo can work directly on your relational data and build predictive AI models. But it doesn't just stop there. You also have the ability to provide embeddings to Kumo. So if you want to use the most latest LLM or other pre-trained models on your text or image data, you can bring those embeddings along with your relational data in Kumo, and Kumo will use those signals as well to train your model. Once you set up your relational data, or optionally along with your embeddings, and specify their relationships, you can then use our flexible predictive query language to ask your business question and query the future. Each predictive query defines an end-to-end GNN-based ML pipeline in just 2 to 3 lines. This way, Kumo automates the major steps in machine learning pipeline, including target label engineering, feature engineering, model architecture, hyperparameter search, and model deployment. Now let's talk about how does this help data scientists. Kumo can basically automate a lot of manual tasks involved in building an end-to-end AI project by directly working on your relational data. Firstly, Kumo simplifies model creation process by substantially reducing the need for feature engineering and maintaining feature engineering pipelines once the model is in production. This makes data science teams deliver solutions faster. Next, Kumo can help make predictions better because it learns end-to-end embeddings from raw Snowflake data and produces highly accurate models through the use of graph transformers. Kumo provides detailed model evaluation, model explainability needed to build trust in your models. And thirdly, you can easily move models into production. Kumo enables data science teams to iterate quickly on the data and figure out what data contributes the most towards their model predictions. And you can easily promote these models, put them into production, and start generating more business value for your stakeholders. These predictions can be requested at desired frequency, and should a model needs retraining, that can be done really easily in Kumo. This basically helps data science teams build and promote more models in production, thereby generate more business value for their stakeholders. Now, let's talk about some of the key use cases to try in Kumo. You can basically So for example, growth and marketing teams looking to improve their funnel can use Kumo to build more targeted acquisition strategies, improving their customer retention, build more accurate personalized recommendations, and identify next best actions for their customers. You can build 360-degree picture of any of the major entities in your enterprise graph. For example, if you have several customers, you can understand the 360-degree view of your customers and serve them better. Kumo can also be used for fraud detection use cases. These use cases typically these fraud abuses cost millions of dollars to companies. And if you're able to reduce false positives in use cases like fake account creation, fake reviews, coupons, or promotions abuse, you can save a lot of dollars for your companies and build more accurate models through the help of Kumo. As I wrap up this segment of Kumo introduction here, I am thrilled to share that Kumo is now a Snowflake native app. What this means is that Snowflake customers can access Kumo from within Snowflake. This would make predictive AI more accessible to Snowflake customers. Let me hand over to Cameron to share more details about what it means to be a Snowflake native app and how it benefits both Snowflake and Kumo customers. Over to you, Cameron.
Thanks, Disha. So quickly before I jump in, I just want to do two quick call outs as well, because having worked with Kumo now for a bit, some of the cool features that I just want to call out are the predictive querying, which we will do a bit of a demo later, Alan and I. And then also the ability to kind of reduce the need for feature engineering. So like what CNNs did for computer vision, Kumo is doing for these relational tables, which is really, really cool for the predictions. But as you can probably tell, I am not a Kumo employee. I'm a Snowflake employee. So I'm here today to give you a bit of information on what Snowflake is, what is a native app, and how that all works with Kumo and how that brings the two together. So let's jump into the first slide. For those of you who don't know what Snowflake is or have previously heard that it's just a data warehouse, I kind of want to set the scene and change that view a bit. So Snowflake did start off more as a data warehouse in the cloud, but over the years, we've really transitioned and changed. So as you can see on the slide here, we do a lot of things. So we really see ourselves as a platform for your end-to-end data needs. So what does that mean? It means we can ingest data, we can bring it into the platform, be it from a data lake or other sources. We have data engineering capabilities as well, so you can process, transform your data. And then we also have a lot of AI ML applications with our platforms like Cortex and our tools like Snowpark. which have really transformed how data is used within Snowflake to get insights. We can process SQL, Python, Java, Scala, and all of those languages with Snowpark. And then we also have recently came out with our Snowpark Container Services, which is like our managed Kubernetes offering. And all of those features are going to come together today. But on top of all of that, you can see that outer layer. We then also have our governed collaboration aspects and our marketplace. And that marketplace is where you can download access to data, as well as getting access to applications. So really, Snowflake is not just for the data analysts. It's for ML engineers. It's for SQL analysts. It's for data engineers and even business users. So it really covers a lot in this platform. So if we go to the next slide, I want to focus here on some of our AI ML capabilities as well, and those applications that we were speaking about. So Snowflake has brought in a new space here where we are trying to focus on what AI ML services can we support and how can we support applications as well. And as you can see on the screen, there's a bunch of different capabilities there, including Cortex, running GPUs, machine learning. But really what the focus of Snowflake is we want our AI and ML to be efficient. So make it work well and make it easily accessible, easy, so people can just start turning it on and start leveraging it, and trusted, which is really making sure that, like Snowflake, the platform, the data is trusted, secured, maintained, all of those kind of good things. So I'm going to pivot slightly to start talking a bit more about applications here and where Snowflake plays in this space. So Snowflake, obviously a data platform, so it has a lot of data in it. And in the past, the way applications have worked, so if you wanted to do something with the data complex, such as running Kumo or doing some applications like that, the data would have to move. And that would mean it leaves Snowflake, it goes into other cloud providers, there's second storage, there's all this overhead. So this can lead to unnecessary data vulnerabilities, additional time, and additional cost. So what Snowflake is doing is we're moving, instead of the data to the application, we're moving the application to the data. So if we go to the next slide, that really shows what this modern software stack looks like. And this is what we call a native app. So it is an application running directly within Snowflake that lets our Snowflake users leverage the advanced capabilities of companies like Kumo within Snowflake without having to move the data, without any additional costs, and without time of transfer. It makes it a lot easier. So we bring the data in, the application logic, and the UI. And that's really what we're excited in talking about today. So how does a native app work? Well, what you do is, as a provider, you take your logic, your data, your different aspects, your UI, and you bundle that up into a package. You then put that into the Snowflake marketplace. And in that marketplace, someone can go and access it and download that application. They can then install it just in their Snowflake environment, like you would do an app on your phone. What is the benefits of that? It comes with the security, the storage, the costing can be just through Snowflake, which makes it a lot easier, and the compute happens within Snowflake. So from a provider's perspective, it's a lot easier to get into the hands of some of their customers. They don't have to worry about the security of the data, the transfer of the data, the storage of the data. And from the consumer's perspective, it's a lot easier because now they're getting access to all these new applications all within that one space. They don't have to set up all these complex data integrations, set up all these APIs. It all just works within that Snowflake environment. So as Disha spoke about, this is what we're really here to talk about today, is how Kumo is going to be running in Snowflake. So what we're announcing today, and has been announced at Summit, was the next click, Kumo native app in Snowflake. And we're going to do a demo of that today. So really, what are the benefits of Kumo and Snowflake working together? Well, it's the benefits of each other. It's bringing the benefits to both worlds. So Snowflake gets the benefits of Kumo, and Kumo gets the benefits of Snowflake. So if we go to the next slide, let's work through what those benefits really come across as. So for those here today who are Kumo customers, you get the improved efficiency. It removes barriers to access to the data. You don't have to set up these complex integrations. You don't have to make duplications of the data. It's just more efficient. The next part then is ease. It's an improved user experience. So you just download the app through the marketplace, it's installed, it runs, it works. And then the last point is it's trusted. we have that secure access to the data. So nothing is leaving the Snowflake environment. So in terms of your admins and how they feel about connecting to external sources and things like that, none of that happens in this case. It all sticks within that space. And for those who are Snowflake customers on the line, what are the benefits you get? Well, you get the benefits that Disha spoke about. You get the fast. So you get access to these advanced AI modeling methods, these techniques that would otherwise be quite difficult for you to establish yourself in Snowflake. The second thing is this improved. You get access to these graph neural networks, these advanced capabilities for predictive AI, leveraging these relational connections between your data. And the final part then is more. You're now unlocking all these new use cases. Those ones that Disha was speaking about that Kumo is good at. Great, you can now do that all within Snowflake with the data you already have, and there's nothing stopping you. So now we're going to jump into a bit of a demo. It's a really cool demo. It makes me quite excited to show it to you guys. So Alan and I, we built a best in practice personalized recommendation engine for a fictional retailer. So we'll show you how using Kumo's native app in Snowflake lets any data scientist leverage Snowflake, Cortex, and Kumo to train graph neural networks, deploy it, and run predictions, all for other people to consume. In this scenario, Alan and I are data scientists, so we're working in this big retailer, and we're trying to build this advanced model to create personalized product recommendations for over 1 million customers. This is not an easy task, as I'm sure many of you are aware, but with Snowflake and Kumo, we'll make this easy. So let's jump into it. So here you can see we're in Snowflake. This is the Snowflake UI. And I'm just going to bring up some structured data in Snowflake, just a simple query. So you can see it's a product table where we have an account ID, color, department, and then a detailed product description in text. It can be really hard for AI models to understand this text and extract value from it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our tool called Cortex Embedding in Snowflake. And what this does is directly inside Snowflake, we're going to transform this data using our advanced enterprise-grade model. It's been built within Snowflake. What this does is it converts the text descriptions from their text representations and makes it understandable to the AI model. Imagine changing the language from English to that of what an AI model speaks. So you can see those numbers that represents the text and the connection between them all. Now that I've prepared the data, I want to turn it into a table though. So I'm going to quickly create a table so that I can store it and make it available for Alan so he can use it down the line. I can now give, you can see me creating this just now. So I now give the control over to Alan so he can use Kumo running inside Snowflake with no data leaving to take advantage of this data to train some advanced recommendation engines. Alan?
And yeah, we're now using Kumo. This UI is running inside of Snowflake, and here's the table that Cameron created. We can see its register, we can see some stats, distribution of some of the values, the embeddings with their size, and some other information about the tables. And here I also registered the graph where I connect all the tables that are relevant for this problem. And we can also see stats about the graph and the connections that we're gonna use. We get to the fun part, which is writing the predictive query. So we select what graph we're gonna write this query on, and we need to give it a game. So let me name this. And I'm gonna start by writing predictive query to predict the age of the customers. So here with these 4 lines of code, I'm saying that for each customer, I wanna predict their age. And using the graph on the right, it infers it's a regression model, and that's as easy as is. I can also change the predict part and say like, oh, I want to count number of transactions in the next 30 days, makes it a binary classification, and now we have a churn model instead of an age prediction model. But for this use case, we said we want a recommender system. So let me change it to, I want to predict to list the distinct items that a customer will buy in the next 30 days. And this is a link prediction model, so a recommender system.
So this is really cool, Alan. This is what I was speaking about with the querying language. I love it.
Yeah, we can add some where clauses and next, and we can start training. Before training, we need to decide some advanced functions. So Kumo will provide some suggested model plan, but we can change that. We can change what metrics we want to tune. We can change how we want to sample our neighbors, how we optimize the model, the architecture of the model, we can also change. Advanced users can make any changes here, but if we want to use just what was suggested by Kumo, we can just use that, and now we can start training. And as a cooking show, I pre-trained a model before, so I can show you how the trained model looks like. We trained 4 experiments here, so you can see the 4 experiments we trained, which one was the best one. We can see also how the training went over time for the different experiments, how the data training got split and created. And we can also explore some of the predictions. So for example, in this recommender system, you can see, like, for example, this user had purchased 34 items historically and bought 5 more, and we predicted 2 out of those with our top 20 recommendations. Models you can use on different thresholds and see how the confusion matrix change. You can also see how column contribution is for the model. So for example, this column in this table, we can see partial dependence plot and see which department was more predictive for these kind of users. And once you have a model that you like, we can run batch predictions. So to run batch predictions, I just create a new batch prediction job. And I tell it I want to use it with this trained model that uses the P query. And I said I want to output the predictions to Snowflake. I can output both predictions or embeddings, but in this case, I'm just going to output predictions, and I want to give 10 recommendations per customer. I click next, and that's it. Batch predictions are being created, and they'll land in Snowflake. So back to you, Cameron.
Wonderful. So now let's jump back into Snowflake. So Alan's model has predicted these recommendations, so we can have a look at these customers and see what they're likely to buy in the next 30 days. For anyone who's a data scientist here and tried doing this themselves, it can be very difficult. So it's great to see how quick and easy that was. Once the data is stored, we can leverage this table, we can send personalized emails, we can just even display it on our website. So it makes life a lot easier for our customers. And this was all done in just a few minutes, as you could see. So if you have any questions about the demo or anything like that, please make sure you put them into the chat below as well, so we can try getting to those. I'll now hand over to Disha to speak about how you can start exploring and testing out Kumo in Snowflake.
Thanks, Alan and Cameron. That was one whole 6 months long project built by you guys in a couple of days. So I hope the audience is also excited to leverage Kumo and Snowflake and realize the benefits of this. So yeah, to get access to your free trial, you can visit Snowflake Marketplace and search for Kumo AI there, and you would be able to get access to our trial. The first QR code here points to that, which will take you directly to that Snowflake Marketplace page with Kumo. If you want to connect with Kumo or Snowflake sales representatives, QR code in the middle and the right one can be used. So yeah, we can't wait for you all to experience these benefits firsthand. And yeah, really excited for this. Thank you. I'll give it back to Katie.
Thank you, Disha. Thank you, Cameron and Alan as well. And now we come to the most exciting part for our speakers, the Q&A session. We have received many questions, and thank you for your interactivity. In the interest of the time, we have chosen 3 questions to answer. We will follow up with you individually regarding the remaining questions that we have received during this session. So the first question for our speaker is received from Jonathan, and it is the following. When should I use Snowflake feature versus Kumo features?
I'm happy to take a first stab at that, and then the Kumo people can maybe kick in and help out. So Snowflake, just make sure your data's in Snowflake first. That makes it a lot easier to then send off to Kumo. You can do a lot of the initial data processing, transformations, all of that kind of stuff, getting the data ready. You can maybe test a simple model in Snowflake using Snowpark. But once it starts getting more advanced and you want to use graphical neural networks and you don't have the technical skills to build all of that out, I'd recommend handing straight over to Kumo. Kumo, what's your opinion? Or Kumo team?
I think one of the advantages of using graph neural networks that you don't have to worry about feature engineering. You just need to register your tables and the connections between those tables, and we learn what features. It's a data-driven way of learning features, basically. Some features that maybe you want to produce in Snowflake is something like what Cameron showed. You can make use of some of their LLM models and create some embeddings of your text, or if you have some image embeddings, you can load them into Snowflake too. But everything else, Kumo should take care of.
Agreed. And then I think also as we showed, once the data has been produced, once you have the predictions and things like that as well, the storage of that and leveraging that from Snowflake is useful as well and downstream. But it's really that more advanced capability of being able to do those predictions with the data is when Kumo comes in and really shines. And it really blows my mind every time where it's so easy and so quick to do that.
Cool, thank you. So the second question is received from Anna. Thank you, Anna. She's asking, what other use cases can I build with this?
Sure, I can take that one. So I discussed some of the key use cases of Kumo, which are around like growth and marketing teams, fraud detection, building a 360-degree view of your entities. But other than that, one of the other really valuable feature that I find in Kumo in terms of use cases is for advanced data scientists to be able to export embeddings. So whatever use case you are using Kumo for, you can basically generate high quality ML features in form of embeddings, and then use those in your downstream application to improve performance of your models. So this would be another application. And other than that, we have also introduced a forecasting. So for teams that are into planning and operation, and you can basically use Kumo to forecast for inventory planning and basically, do the forecasting in Kumo. So these would be some of the other use cases I would recommend.
Bisha, just a quick question on that. With the forecasting ones, do they also use graph neural networks under the hood?
Absolutely, yes. So for any use case, GNN is the underlying technology in Kumo.
So cool. And so for these big data cases, it's all going to be running on a GPU as well within Snowflake, which is really cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the last question is from Mike. And the question is the following: what kind of training data do I need to provide?
I can try to answer that one.
Thanks.
So I talked a little bit about it on the first question. The fact that you just need to register your tables. The kind of tables that you will want to register, we think of two kinds of tables. One is tables about entities on your business. That's customers, that's products, that's stores, that's depending on your business, any entity that your business is, and attributes about those entities. The second kind of tables that we want you to register is events or interactions or transactions or views or clicks that are performed by any pair of these entities in your data set. So those are the kinds of tables that we can learn from. And as long as you connect those tables and connect the graph, then you can train any kind of models on this graph, right? Like you can train churn models, you can train recommender systems, you can train fraud detection models, regression models, any kind of models on top of the graph.
Alan, I have a question then on that as well, because Snowflake stores a lot of data,
Yes.
and all of the data sources you just described, Snowflake's perfect at. One of the ones that we know a lot of customers struggle with is like clickstream. It is huge data, comes in JSON format, things like that. It can be flattened and whatnot into a relational table. But when it gets that big or when it's streaming and things like that, how does it work with Kumo? Is it the same kind of process or is there anything different?
Yeah, if it's on a JSON format as you're describing, then you'll need to use Snowflake to parse that JSON because we do require structured data. We will only need like 3 columns, right? Like the customer, the item, and the timestamp. And in terms of number of rows, we support billions and billions and billions of rows of transactions. If you need to to make it smaller, you can always use views also in Snowflake to only use the last year of clicks or the last month, or depending on how much data you want to train with, but we can scale to train with as much data as you provide.
Amazing. This is really going to solve a lot of our joint customers' use cases, which is cool.
Nice.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Disha, Cameron, and Alan. We are now at the end of our webinar, and I would like to ask you if you have anything to add before we conclude. Okay, so thank you, Cameron.
I was going to say, I'm all good.
Great. Thank you to everyone who joined this webinar. I hope you gain valuable knowledge about Kumo and Snowflake, its values, benefits, and how to get started. Please don't forget to follow us on social media to learn more about Kumo's new functionalities, upcoming events, and achievements. We are also available 24/7 to respond to all your questions. Thank you once again and have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.